Hi, David Wallimann here. Thank you so much for joining me for today's Masterclass. These Masterclass sessions happen every Monday, and today we're going to put into application some of the things that we have learned in the past, using fairly simple concepts to create music that sounds maybe more mature than they really are. Really simple things, and I think it's going to help your playing. It all has to do with stop playing from here and playing from here, using some of the elements that we had here. All right, let's get started. We're going to talk about phrasing over different chords. I've got my keyboard here. I don't know the chords. We're just going to play a chord, use some of the pentatonic things that we've talked about in previous masterclass sessions. You know how we can extract pentatonic scales from fuller 7-note scales. We're also going to use our ears. We talked about that last Monday, so watch that video. And our guitar, our keyboard, our ears, that's a good recipe, I think. Let's get started. In this lesson, we're going to use a few principles that we have covered in previous master classes. The first one is that typically within a 7-note scale, we can find a hidden pentatonic scale. As a matter of fact, we can always find a pentatonic scale, but I'm referring to the traditional pentatonic scales, the minor pentatonic scale, the major pentatonic scale. If we are in the church mode family, which are commonly used modes, we look at the major modes, Ionian, Lydian, Mixolydian. If I play these three one after the other, Ionian, Lydian, Mixolydian, they sound very close because they have 5 notes in common, the major pentatonic scale. And same thing if we look at the minor modes. So not all of them, the Locrian is set apart, you should know by now, but if I look at if I play Dorian, Phrygian, Aeolian one after the other in A, here's Dorian, here's Phrygian, and here's Aeolian. They sound very close because they have 5 notes in common, the minor pentatonic scale. And that's nothing new if you follow the previous masterclass sessions. But we can use that principle if we're improvising over a backing track and we figure out that the first chord is either major or minor. Chances are that over that first chord and throughout the backing track, if the backing track is written in a single key, you're going to be able to use the corresponding pentatonic scale. So if the first chord of our song is, let's say, a C major, and I'm going to play that on my keyboard here, and I'm going to sustain that chord. Here's an E major, just an E major triad is enough. Major chord, major pentatonic scale. It works in the same way if I have a C minor chord, for example. A C minor pentatonic scale will work. Right? And the following chords, if the chord progression is written in the same key, I can still use that same starting pentatonic scale because that scale is extracted from one of the fuller modes. We don't really know which mode it is. We don't need to, but we know that that pentatonic scale is going to work on the other chords because all the chords of a chord progression, if the chord progression is written in one key, are extracted from the scale we're using. So that's the first principle. And the second one is something we covered last week. It's not really a principle, but it's a way of approaching improvisation using your ears. And we talked about the interval of a second, the major second and the minor second. And we use the happy birthday song. So if we have a note here, a major second is a happy birthday away. Happy birthday. And a minor second is smaller than that. And being comfortable with that means that you can pretty much figure out a scale by just building that scale by using all the different seconds away. So if I have this chord, for example, I don't know what it is, but I figure out that this note works over that. I want to see what the next note is, so I'm going to sing Happy birthday. Does that work over there? Ba-bum. If not, it's the other one. Ba-bum. Probably the other one. Ba-ba. And that's 2 notes to build a melodic idea. And then from this one, happy birthday. Yep. And so forth. So that's what we covered last week. So we're going to combine these 2 things together. The fact that we can extract pentatonic scales from modes and figuring out the rest of the scale with your ear by using seconds, major seconds, minor seconds. So let's take a closer look at the relation between pentatonic scales and full modes. Let's start with the major modes, for example. Ionian, Lydian, Mixolydian. We covered in a previous masterclass, and I will remind you of this right now, that let's say an Ionian mode can be seen as a major pentatonic scale plus the missing notes. And we just said that, right? Within the major modes, we can extract a major pentatonic scale, 5 notes. So 2 notes are missing because the modes, the diatonic scales, have 7 notes. We extracted 5. Those are common to all major modes. So we're missing 2 types of intervals. What types are those? Well, we need to look at the formula of a major pentatonic scale. We'll work in the key of A. If we're in the key of A, we have root, major second, major third, perfect fifth, major sixth. So there's no 4th and there's no 7th. So an Ionian mode is a major pentatonic scale plus some kind of 4th, perfect or augmented, and some kind of 7th, major or minor. We don't know that. The cool thing is that any 2 consecutive intervals, so from the 6th to the 7th, or the 3rd to the 4th, or whatever, if we're in the church mode system, which is what we're covering now, any 2 consecutive intervals are always separated by some kind of a second, major second or minor second. And we know how to figure out the seconds because of last week's masterclass. The happy birthday song was going to unlock that knowledge. So that's great. So we know that if we're in Ionian, we've got our major pentatonic scale. That's going to work. And we need to figure out what kind of 4th, what kind of 7th. Well, we will take the interval that's just before. So if we want to figure out what kind of 4th we have, we're going to go to the 3rd. And from there, we sing our happy birthday song. Happy birthday. That's a major second. If you want to have that sound, major second away, if you look at that note in relation to the root, that's an augmented 4th, therefore it's Lydian. If that note doesn't work, the major second away from the major 3rd, then it's the minor second. And that eliminates Lydian. So we need to know that knowledge. The knowledge of how these modes are constructed. Here it is. Ionian is a major pentatonic scale plus a perfect 4th and a major 7th. Lydian is a major pentatonic scale with an augmented 4th and a major 7th. Mixolydian is a major pentatonic scale with a perfect 4th and a minor 7th. From there, and if you have followed these master classes from the start, you know how to figure out those intervals because of the master interval shape. And if you don't know, continue watching this till the end. It might click, but if not, I will direct you to the original masterclass session, which I'll link below. I can't remember the name of it, but that's basically what we're going to do. So let's say now, let's use this in an actual context. Let's say that we have this chord, and I'll make it. Well, we'll stay in that same key, okay? So we've got a major chord. That's what we need to play over. So it's a major chord, therefore a major pentatonic. Trying to fill in the blanks. So I'm going to try to find the 4th. That's the 3rd. 1, 2, 3. What kind of 4th? An augmented 4th or a perfect 4th? Well, an augmented 4th is 2 steps away, so that's a major second away from the 3rd. Happy birthday, ba-da-bum. In your mind, you imagine, da-da-bum, da-da-bum. Do you like that sound? If so, great, you figured out that augmented fourth. What about the seventh? Here's the sixth. 1, 2, 3, 4, augmented, 5, 6. Happy birthday. Does that work? Ba-bum. Or is it ba-bum? It's ba-bum. A minor second. Actually, why? Because in that chord, I actually played a minor second. And that's how you do it. So in this particular example, if we look at the actual theory, you might think, hey, a scale with an augmented fourth and a minor seventh, we haven't covered that. It doesn't matter. We used our ears. That's actually a mode that is extracted from another system. But that's the beauty of it. You don't need to know all the formulas of the modes, all the names. You just use your ear. So that's what's important. We're combining all that knowledge together to create music over a chord, and we don't even need to know the name of the chord or the interval. Let's take another example. Let's take this chord, for example, which is going to be in C. I'll tell you I'll tell you the root each time just to make it easier. So here's our C. Okay, so that's a minor third. Therefore, C minor pentatonic. Okay, you can stay in that minor pentatonic. There's a lot of cool things you can say, but you can embellish even more by adding the missing notes. So we don't know if this is Dorian, Aeolian, Phrygian. It's a minor mode. Let's add the missing notes. Even if we don't know the name of the mode we will result in, we're adding the missing notes. So there's a missing note between that root and that third. It's either a major second or a minor second. Well, I'm going to take that an octave higher. It'll be easier to hear. Happy birthday to you. Right? Na na na. Or na na na. Which one do you want? Ba da ba ba da ba. They both work, so that's where you have liberty. I'm going to take happy birthday to happy birthday. Happy birthday. So now we have a 6-note scale. We have the minor pentatonic with a second. If you have the knowledge of how scales are built and stuff, well, you know that can't be Phrygian because Phrygian has a minor second. Therefore, you're either in Dorian or Aeolian. Those have a minor pentatonic scale with a major second, which is that note we figured out that we like. Let's try to pinpoint even further. From this note to this one, so we're in the minor pentatonic scale, we are missing a note, and that's the 6th. So from there, I could go a major second away. Happy birthday. Do you like that sound? Or do you prefer happy na-na? Either are correct. Let's do the happy birthday. And now we have our minor pentatonic scale with an additional major second because we like that sound, and that note, which is a major 6th, because we like that sound. We could have picked a minor 6. Why? Because the 6th was not indicated in that chord that I just played. So the minor 6th would have worked. Now keep in mind that we're only playing on a single chord here, which gives you more options. But imagine now that we have 2 chords. A first chord, See, C minor. And then another chord, which is an F major. Well, these two chords, we're going to consider that they're extracted from the same scale. Therefore, we need to respect all the elements of these chords together. So you might get a clue as to which type of sixth to use in a chord later on the song. In this case, that note, which is in F major, gives you an indication that that's major sixth. Because if I pick the minor sixth, thinking that it would work over that first chord, and it does. Well, on the second chord, that note is no longer going to work. So sometimes you've got to wait for a later chord to know exactly which interval you need to take. And that's why it's always a good idea when you start improvising over a backing track to start with a very safe scale. A few notes, a pentatonic scale, and then as you go, you train your ear mentally. So try to figure out happy birthday to ba-dum, ba-dum. Do you like that sound? And then keep that sound in mind and sing it mentally over the next chords to see if it still works. If it works through all the chords, that's your note. It's very important to do that. So you just need to know basically where those missing notes are, where these potential missing notes are. And if we just use the first shape of our pentatonic scale, major or minor, those notes are going to be in very particular places. Let's take a look at the A major pentatonic. Well, we have a missing note. We said that every consecutive interval is separated by a second. If it's further than that, then we're missing a note. So here, and by the way, a major second is 2 frets away. Therefore, if we have 2 notes that are separated by 3 or more frets, well, we can fill in some missing intervals there. And that's the case here. We've got our major pentatonic. Right there. I'm playing this and this. There's a note in the middle there that I need to figure out. On the 5th string, between the 4th fret and the 7th, we're missing a note. And that's where you go to that lower note, in this case 5th string, 4th fret, and you sing your happy birthday. Happy birthday. Does that note work? If so, well, you got your interval. That's an augmented fourth. If not, that's a perfect fourth. And there's another missing note right here on the 4th string between the 4th fret and the 7th. That's the 7th that is missing. Same thing. Happy birthday or happy bum. You choose. And that's going to be in relation to the chord that you're hearing in the back. So that's for the major pentatonic scale. You know where those missing notes are from that shape. The minor pentatonic scale, a little trickier. If we have an A minor pentatonic here, and we just play the lower octave, it's not very evident where those missing notes are. Well, we know that there's a missing note on the low E string because we're playing frets 5 and 8. That's 3 frets apart, therefore there's a note in between. But all the other, within that octave, they're just separated by 2 frets. Well, that's because we're missing some notes that are between 2 strings. But if we continue our shape, you see that on the top there? I'm playing 5-8, 5-8. That's where our missing notes are. That's where the 2nd is missing and the 6th is missing. And you've got to figure out what kind by just listening. Now, you might say, what if I'm thrown in a situation? I've got to play right away. I don't have time to ask the keyboard player what the first chord is. Well, that's where you use a third concept that we have covered, I believe, last week. And we talked about the fact that there are more possible correct notes than wrong notes. Some of you have really paid attention last week and pinpointed that I said that there are 11 possible notes. There's 12. 12 possible notes. 12 possible notes. Mode has 7 notes. So 7 over 12 is more than half. Therefore, there's more chances of hitting a right note. Demonstration again, if I play this chord, I don't know what it is, but here's a note. That works. Let's try another one. Let's try this one. Perfect. I'm just hitting random chords here. Ah, that's the wrong note. That one works too. It's hard to start with the wrong note, really. It really is. That's the wrong one. Right? But you see what I mean? Like, there's more chances of hitting a right note than a wrong note. And that's super, super powerful to know that. Because once you hit a note over a chord that you've never heard before, I got lucky. It's a good note. You try to figure out the next one. Happy birthday. Does that work? Ba-bum. Do you like it? Ba-bum. Or do you prefer ba-bum? Both are correct. Let's do ba-bum. And from this one, that one. I can take this an octave lower. Yep. You're figuring out your notes, eventually trying to find a shape. Okay, I found it. You're trying to find your minor pentatonic shape as soon as possible, and once you have that, you can find the other notes. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. We're in E flat Aeolian. Now you can look at what the shape looks like, and from knowing your shapes, you know the scale that's involved. But we did that just by listening. That's all. So and I took my time here, but let's do it a little faster. We're in Aeolian. So that's very, very possible and reachable if you take these steps and really train your ear to hear the seconds, major seconds, minor seconds, and understand that you can extract from most chords a pentatonic scale, minor or major, in filling the missing notes to find all the rest. Now you might say, okay, great, now that I figured out the intervals, what do? How do I smoothly go from one position to the other and all that? Well, that comes by doing the work of first memorizing all your positions, 3-note per strings, the caged positions, and all that seems like, hey, that's tons to memorize. I can't do it. Well, the thing is, the thing that's beneficial when you're learning these shapes is not actually learning the shapes. There's something behind the scenes that is happening that is very important, and I think any professional musician, or professional, not necessarily professional, but any musicians who've been playing for a while can testify to this, that they don't really think in terms of shapes anymore at some point. And I mentioned that again, but it's so true. There's something behind the scenes that happen. You're associating finger movements, muscle movements, the way that you move that particular tendon for that that finger to be triggered, all that is automatic. You don't have to think about it. And you're associating sounds in your head with finger movements. That's so important to do that. And that's why one of the best exercises you could do to develop that even more is to put your guitar down, because you would be tempted to play if you don't, and sing over a chord. Again, using my keyboard here, I don't know what the chord is. And you just sing. Na, 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 na. Ba, da, 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 ba. Okay, I like that. Ba, da, ba, da, ba. You reproduce that. Ba, 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 ba. Search a little bit. Ba, 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 ba. Ba, 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 ba. The fact that you're singing first, translating that on the instrument by fishing around first. Well, you're making that connection that da 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 is actually this ba da ba da ba ba da ba da ba. It's subconscious. Ba da ba da ba. And next time when you sing an idea, na na na, it's almost instant, right? And that's what should happen eventually. But do that exercise. Take these to heart. It seems like it might seem like a long road ahead, but just a little bit every day, and you'll be amazed at how quick this happens. If you really take the time to listen first, listen internally before you play. It's going to do wonders to your playing. I hope this is helpful for you guys. Thank you so much for watching this video till the end. If you feel that these masterclass sessions are helping you and you want really to have something more in depth, more structured, even more structured than these, I'm trying to keep these structures, but if you really want to program a step-by-step program, well, you should check out my Guitar Infusion course. It's a 22-hour course. Now, don't worry, you've got your lifetime to go through it. All the lessons are split into bite-sized sections. I recommend about one lesson a week, but you can binge watch if you want, and everything is available for you. There's a catch though. You've got to be on the list. You've got to be on the list, and to sign up, it's super simple. Go to guitarinfusion.com, put your email on there. I'm going to send you the free Music Theory DNA worksheet, and I will teach you how to use it. And at the end, you will get a special invitation to join my course, and it's much more affordable than you might think. And you're getting the free DNA anyways, which is cool. Thank you. I'll see you next time. Subscribe if you haven't. Watch more videos. I'll see you next time.